I wanted to make this video for a while now, and finally here it is. A video about grinding and why I decided to get rid of it almost entirely. So why am I even talking about this? Well, I'm mostly doing it for me. Every time one of the subjects discussed here is relevant to a challenge I played, then when I read the script I have to decide if I want to slow down the video to explain it or move on hoping it didn't look like I did something suspicious. And that sucks, cause I care a lot about the authenticity of my challenges. Now that you know what all of this is about, let's go back in time, almost 2 years ago. The first Pokemon challenge I played on the channel was Emerald with only Source Kit. That solo run was split in 7 videos I think, the editing was far from decent, and I even had to rely on a robot voice to read the script. But from a gameplay perspective, the Source Kit challenge made one thing very clear. I had to start skipping grinding, otherwise it would have taken months to finish playing a single run. Especially with my ruleset, which I'll put on screen for those unfamiliar. Allowing myself to train more than one Pokemon is essential if I want to play with level caps, but that also means a whole lot of extra grinding. Just consider how tedious is EV training. No wonder that during the Source Kit challenge I found a shiny and even got the Pokeros. But there was something even worse than simple grinding: breeding. Breeding is great to find Pokemon with good stats in nature, but it can take a while. Let me tell you that waiting 20 minutes to have 5 eggs from the Daycare just to find out they all have bad stats felt miserable. If 20 minutes don't seem too bad, well, multiply that for dozens of times. Another annoying process was trading. Yeah, because now I just say that items in Tutor Moose are infinite, but the original rule is that it's allowed to trade with a save file of the same game as long as don't give me access to resources I'm not supposed to have at my disposal yet. I think cumbersome is the right word to describe all of this. Oof, just talking about this gives me flashbacks. Like when I trained a whole squad of Linoon up to level 81 using exclusively the XP share just to find the 1% leftovers through pickup. Because, you know, only Source Kit could have been used in battle. And while this was to a certain extent impressive, things had to change. So not only I learned to use PK hacks, I also created a couple of simple programs myself. In order to describe how I skip grinding, it's easier for me to show you what I typically do during a solo run under the hood. First, there's the starter. Most of the times it will have to deal with Roxanne, Brawly and the Slate Pot rival, in some cases even with Watson. Instead of resetting dozens if not hundreds of times until I find a Pokemon with good stats, I use this random IVs and nature generator I made. It also determines whether the Pokemon is male or female, but back then I didn't consider some Pokemon have a different gender ratio, so it's always a 50-50. Then we have the first EV train session, usually right before Roxanne, sometimes even before May. This is straightforward enough. If, for example, I want 20 Vs on my HP, I have to kill 20 level 2 Rumples, so I simply add the corresponding amount of experience along with the effort values. As you can see, the early routes give access to all the Vs one might desire. Moving on, Mauville has 2 big points of interest, both of which come with massive grinding: the Game Corner and the Daycare. As for the Game Corner, it's pretty simple. I get the coin case, buy 50 coins, and from there I give myself infinite access to all the prize DMs. The Daycare, on the other hand, is very complicated, and I had to build my own Daycare simulator. A little explanation is needed here. When hatching an egg, the stats of the newborn are to a certain extent inherited by both parents. The nature can also be passed down by the mother if she's holding an Everstone, even though it's only a 50% chance in generation 3. When I click on Generate, the program will give me 6 IVs and a nature based on Pokemon's Emerald very own breeding mechanics. Once that happens, I can decide to replace either the mother or the father with a newly generated Pokemon. If you stop a moment to think about it, it's gross. And I have a click counter on the right, just to remind me how much time I'm saving. I don't think there's much more to explain. For infinite items and tutor moves, I can simply change my moveset through PK hacks and give any held item I want. And if you wonder why I don't use leftovers more often, that's just because I think it's overpowered and makes all strategies very samey, just like Double Team. One last thing, what I showed you here is mostly relevant to my solo runs. For Nuzlocks, I don't use any Pokemon generator of course, and anything that can be acquired by trading is banned as well. So no infinite TMs apart from the ones obtainable multiple times, and not even trade evolutions. Hopefully this video gave a meaningful insight to those interested, although it might disappoint to see a video like this after over a month without uploads. Don't worry, tomorrow I'll release my skatey solo run. That, I can tell, was very interesting. For now, nothing else to say, so you have a nice day. And as for me, back to theory crafting.